Hello everybody, welcome to another Olimoleague final. In fact, the final Olimoleague final, and then the grand final is in 2 weeks. It's a lot of finals. Hello, Rickon.
Final?
The finals. The final finale.
Final countdown. Okay, I'm not gonna be singing this morning. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. We've come a long way with this whole tournament, and see where it is like this year versus the like benchmark of last year is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Cat, don't do that. No, it's my candy. Well, I hope everyone had a happy Halloween.
Those that celebrated it, at least. I know that what's going to be really cool about today is we have matches preset and all that good stuff. So we already know the players playing, and it's not a question of like who's going to sign up, will they, won't they show up type thing. We got Ryong, Hero, GuMiho, Lucero, Su, Super, and Leenock and Creator. So a lot of Terran, a lot of Zerg, a lot of Protoss.
Well, it can't be lots of everything.
Okay. Good quality Terran, Zerg, and Protoss.
There you go. You can say that. We're almost ready to go. Losira and GuMiho. They're in the lobby on Frozen Temple. They got the correct mod, and we're in here too, and it's about to go down, basically. In fact, I just got promoted to lobby host, so whenever we're ready to go.
Well, I'd like to tweet about this, but presently I can't seem to tag the Olimoleague in tweets. So I'm hoping we get that sorted real quick.
Oh, I didn't know you couldn't tag people. Oh, well. Well, I'm gonna eat some dots, because dots are delicious, and I'm an old person.
Are those the ones that are on the paper, or...?
No. I think those are called, like, paper buttons, or something.
What are dots, then?
Dots are, like, they come in, like, I mean, just check the stream, I guess, and I'll show them on the stream. Because there's no delay today, because the players are in, player areas. Damn it! They're actually in the studio, playing on computers, which is awesome. So you can actually see your favorite player, if they're playing today, I guess, live, if you go to twitch.tv/Olimoleague, which they'll actually have player cams and whatnot.
Before we get into it, hey everybody, here's a quick warning, especially since it's 3 in the morning. I might be a bit grumpy. I got almost asleep from the fucking kids outside yelling trick or treat.
Trick or treat!
Needless to say, feeling a bit of fatigue, going to this, our last Olimoleague. At least the last before Korea. I hope our hotel isn't stocked with IKEA products. IKEA, by the way, is a bit of a throwback, was actually Swedish, so no need to backtrack. Never mind. That's last cast. What am I saying? Hey, Zombie Grub, who do we have playing?
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, he is Lucera.
And his opponent spawns opposite of him. The chances of GuMiho look grim. He's blue and he's Terran, the race which is best. His skills today will be put to the test. Tell me though, what do you think? Will his strategy involve the whole kitchen sink?
I'm not really sure at what point that was the introduction, but I zoomed in. He usually does a lot of builds. That's right. I don't know though. You really threw me off, man. Thanks to Donson Leary for the 3-month resub.
I should note actually before I continue my rhyming things, I cannot get Twitch to load for me today, so I'm unable to see chat. So I love you all. Thank you in advance for any level of support you do today. Sorry that I can't see it.
Alrighty then. Well, TVZ, start things off. Not too unusual for the Olimoleague, but you did mention that we had Protosses today, and for, you know, once that is actually true, is like plural Protosses. It's been really recent weeks that we've had plural Protosses. They've just been finally coming in 1 or 2 numbers, not necessarily in droves. But we might be able to see Hero next, depending, you know, on how it goes versus Ryong, or Creator, if he wins versus Leenock, but those are both tough opponents.
So scouting around the best that he can, trying to prove he's a big scouting man.
See, now you're starting to sound like
or
Dr.
maybe an
Seuss.
army. Then when he wins, he'll feel quite smarmy. You'll have the camera, though. You have the camera, though. So tell me, please, do we have any idea exactly what he sees?
Who? GuMiho? Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he sees, you know, you could tell that, too. Now you're starting to sound like Dr. Seuss. It's a little more obviously gonna rhyme, but still.
I had some fun with my downtime this morning. But in all seriousness, I'm really glad about the Protosses you brought up, because it's been cool seeing them back in the Olimoleague, and seeing even bigger and better names for this monthly finals is really cool. We'll get more into them later. GuMiho's actually coming across with another Hellion, and I mean, 2 Reapers, 2 Hellions, hardly conventional. I'm curious if this will end up actually being a Banshee.
Yeah, oh, well, okay, eventually,
Well,
I guess. First of
okay, so this is kind of neat, though. I like the Viking to take out the Overlords. Okay, cool, thumbs up, prevents scouting from his opponent. And that's going to make Lucero guess, because, you know, GuMiho's actually been playing mech once in a blue moon now and again versus Zerg. And if Lucero doesn't have those Overlords, he won't actually know what the follow-up to this is. Not initially, at least.
He played mech twice, at least, against Sue, so it's really...
Yeah.
Just like recently he's been playing mech, and he might just do it again. It is weird to see Hellions coming out of a non-reactored factory, but they're at least still helpful. Oh, the Lings get in, but at the same time as the Overlords, this really isn't that big of a deal. The Reaper is still scouting, which is surprising, getting some damage on drones. Got 1. He's gonna get 2. Okay, not quite 2, but close. And the Banshee can help follow that up. Lucero goes for very quick lair, but is going for roaches, so that's pretty interesting. Again, he did see everything that's going on, and he just saw... he saw the Banshees. Actually, the roaches are a little surprising, but of course the lair can now provide him with Overseer, and he doesn't need queens. I don't think he actually needs to build roaches right now.
Well, poking and prodding with Hellions isn't going to get a lot done with the roaches out. Queens as well doing a good job keeping everything back. But even though Cloak finished, you know, we still actually don't have an investment in much more than 1 Banshee. Oh, there we go. Second one starts up. Excuse me. I guess just a little bit of gap and gas or something. But he does clear up both the Overlords. So scouting is going to be something Lucero can't do for a while. Even if he gets speed, even if he runs with an Overseer, by the time he scouts the GuMiho is in fact throwing down more factories and looking like he's going mech, hopefully it won't be too late. The nice thing, though, is when you are playing against the mech player, conventionally speaking, it's not too aggressive too quick. It's this small handful of units right now with the Banshee and the Hellions, and it's not going to be a big Marine drop or anything like that. So you've got time to get units. You've got time to drone and try and get an appropriate economy, much less army, to deal with that mech composition.
I do wonder what type of... okay, no, he's in the factory. No, that's a new factory. Okay, he's swapping all his tech labs and whatnot around. That's what I was wondering what he's gonna do. But the Hellions try and get into that 3rd base. Cool evolution chamber block to save the drones. Awesome, so a few minerals to do that. GuMiho's not really looking to dive too deep. Banshee goes home without doing too much damage, without taking too much damage. And Liberator's gonna follow this up. And Cyclones as well. Okay, that's not exactly what I expected, but cool.
Really fast infestation pit coming out of this era. This is something where this could be him rushing a hive. We've seen this happen in the past, but Zerg and Korea especially have started picking up on how good infestors are in this matchup. So if he's thinking about sticking on roaches and ravagers for a time, that can work.
That's true. It does feel so fast that I would anticipate hive, but fungal's definitely helpful. Lings once again get into the main base, and they're getting some really great scouting. I mean, he took down the Overlords for a reason, but it doesn't seem to really matter. Another Evolution block to hold out these Hellions. That will be canceled, and that's, I mean, Lucero's been really on top of this. This Banshee might just end up getting the cancel on the 4th base, but it's not such a big deal. Just annoying to deal with for Lucero. And he does start that Hydralisk Den, so it wasn't for a quick hive. We don't see infestors coming out. Up there's the hive, alright then. Waka, waka, waka. Banshees are pushed back by the queens. The hatchery was not canceled. It's a little weak.
So this is really confusing to me as far as what Lucero is doing here. On one side, you're investing in the range weapon upgrades, and you're going for a hive really quick. I'm not sure what's going to complement off that, though. If he's going for the hive quicker solely for the intention of Vipers, I can buy that, and I can get behind that. But it feels like Hydras and Roaches and maybe Lurkers within fungal growth, like that's what he's aiming for. So the hive doesn't really add much to that. He's not exactly rocketing ahead on +2 with the necessity of a +3 timing. Roaches do actually get over here pretty quickly, snipe off a Cyclone right away. That's always going to be nice, but unfortunately can't do much more than that.
I guess he really is just looking towards those Vipers, which is not a bad move, especially with how quickly GuMiho got up to Liberators, and he doesn't have a Spire. It might I mean, in fact, I would be really scared of this Hive if I was GuMiho. A couple of turrets placed down on the front lines might not be a bad idea, just to discourage the Vipers from reaching in too freely. He scans the Hive, which I guess he didn't realize it was on the way until now. His scouting had been limited to whatever the Banshees could scout. But now he knows he's going to push forward a little bit. I don't think he's going to push forward all the way. I mean, he brings Liberators here, but clearing up creep, not a bad idea. We have a Fusion Core already on the way, and of course a second Starport, but the Fusion Core, I hope, is just for Liberator range.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be the first guy to get excited over the potential of battlecruisers, but I'll also be the first to admit battlecruisers are not always the right choice in most scenarios. There are a few select ones where they are the go-to, but certainly not today, not right now at least. Blue Flame I actually really like. I think one of the major problems we see with mech players is at some point they stop using their Hellions for more than just fodder. Obviously, a huge line of Hellions on that front line to soak hits, Hellbats, whatever, they're good. But I really like Blue Flame for seeing those 4 Hellions start running by later and killing mineral lines. You know, Lucera's army is not going to be able to split too easily. The same way GuMiho can't split off either, but 4 Hellions can certainly get a lot of damage done if snuck by. However, Liberators start setting up, there's going to be Abducts. Better than Blinding Clouds, better than Parasitic Bombs in this situation.
Yeah, one missile turret was set up, but that's not really deterring the Vipers much. Okay, he's not going to go for it.
It's incredibly important to know how bad this was out of Lucero to walk through that army, though. Banshee's just getting free shots on the Hydras. That was a huge, severe misclick and bad misplay. I don't know if he was just panicked because of the Hellions back at home or the AI got him, but that cost Lucero his lead. He just got from those free Abducts.
Yeah, that was truly, truly bad. And GuMiho might be looking to take advantage of it, or just clearing up creep again, because once again, not bringing his Liberators. The Liberator range is on the way, so not battle cruisers confirmed. But
Zombie Grub. Yes.
I'm sorry, you're right. Yet, but I'm really not sure. I mean, the Vipers are still alive. At least they didn't die. The rest of the army did. Losira is on a decent economy. I mean, more than decent. 84 drones and 5 bases. He could remake the Roach Hydra army, okay, no problem. But he just, he hadn't quite accrued a bank, so it really was not the easiest back up to max. He got the same around what GuMiho got to maxed out. But once again, not bringing his Liberators isn't really the true might of GuMiho's army.
Bottom right side, it's the Banshee down there right now, just kind of floating around. Funny enough, I guess there's no Spore Crawler, so the Overseer is the only way to really detect this. This is where this is where you start talking about Hyperflight Rotors and some actuality there, but more on that if the game presents opportunity. For now, that Banshee's not going to get too much more out of it, I don't think. I do want to note, though, prioritizing the +2 armor, the Terran Carapace, the armor on mech, instead of going straight for weapon upgrades. I think this is really neat for a couple of different reasons. Number one being that it'll keep the Liberators alive the longest versus Hydras, who like Marines, fast, quick, tiny attacks. But when it comes to Corruptors and things later, it might not be such a big deal. We'll see how that plays out. Double Spire goes down because it is going to be going for air at some point, some way. But unfortunately, Lucero's on the wrong side of the map, and a mobile force of Blue Flame Hellbats and a lot of Cyclones catch him in the south. Lucero's actually going to pull back and try and get home for this in time, but it doesn't seem like he's going to get there before some damage gets done. That 4th base getting annihilated. The 3rd base under attack. It might also just go down.
That was weird for Lucero to choose to pull back, and he even, I guess he had unhotkeyed his Vipers from his main army, so they took a while to get back. Parasitic Bomb goes down, now abducts into the Hydra, so not too bad, but loses 2 bases, maybe 3, and did no damage on the offense. These are Overseers, they're not doing anything. Yeah, this was 3 bases. Dang.
This was a really great positional fight out of GuMiho. I really do feel like his army head-on, A move versus A move, may not have fared too badly against Lucero, but the fact that Lucero was so massively out of position, I think it was a combination. GuMiho saw the edge of that with the sensor tower, but the other part of it was just he was going that direction anyway, so a bit of luck on his side. And that just worked out so well. Now getting home on the defense, Lucero is pushing into GuMiho. Big army fight up there to the north. And, okay, a couple of abducts went off, before the fight began, but what you guys have to realize, unless you've played with massive amounts of Liberators, you really don't understand just how little they care about the Hydras. You're like, oh, 40 Hydras? Doesn't matter. 10 Liberators, set them up. You're going to win that fight.
I like the sport crawlers on the front lines here.
Yeah, it actually walls off, funny enough.
The Cyclones take care of that pretty quickly, and Lucero needs to get back into position. He's got Eldritch Sabers for his Vipers, but his Vipers are out of energy right now and in range of the Cyclones.
But here we go with those Liberators setting up. They take care of so much. The Blue Flame Hellbats will be able to clear up whenever they don't. The Cyclones should be able to just kite around if GuMiho wants to microbit. It's worth noting, GuMiho's army is a little bit more expensive to lose than that of Lucera's, but Lucera's losing the fight a lot more. End of the day, that's what matters the most. Cyclones can be locking onto anything and everything they possibly can. The Evolution Chamber bait field here is hilarious to look at, by the way, because if he pops off any of these, they become Broodlings, and that's a problem if there's no Hellbats, but there's still Hellbats, so pushing through, GuMiho is, you know, what's really here to stop him? There's 7 Vipers that have no energy. He's abducting, but into what? 2 Hydralisks on the ground? Not a problem. Cyclones get the lock on. They kill what little Vipers are left. This is going so badly for Lucero.
Oh yeah, Lucera's probably lost at this point. The rally is too strong on Frozen Temple, even for a mech player. I mean, the mech player is going for a very mobile composition, so it makes sense. But that's going to be it. Lucero, I mean, the Mass Vipers usually works out pretty well, but there's definitely a couple mistakes. I mean, being out of position, not realizing where GuMiho's army was, you know, moving through a field of Liberators we didn't intend to. This is not the best game from Lucero. You know, hold on for a while longer? Okay, come on.
I don't blame him for that either, because at the same time, you are playing as A, GuMiho, great Terran player, but also B, Mech, which is, I gotta be honest, I don't know if he saw that coming or not. Part of that because of the Overlords getting picked off, but part of it because it's just not that common. Even out of somebody like GuMiho, who made his whole career in HOTS out of playing Mech, has played Bio up until this last, like, month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be Lucero's map choice now. Oh, he might be messaging Olivia. But
oh, we got some cool news, by the way. We can finally announce what's going on with Korea, other than just, hey, we're going to Korea. So the Olimoleague just tweeted about it. We've been given permission to mention it. Guys, the G-Star Arena is apparently like one of the biggest conventions, or not arena, just the G-Star, whatever it's called, is apparently one of the bigger conventions in Korea. And that's where the Olimoleague yearly final is going to be held on a stage over there. It's going to be on November 17th. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. And that is in Busan, if anyone's, like, planning a trip, which would be amazing if you were. But, or if I guess you live in Korea.
Hey, maybe someone's super rich and they've just been waiting for us to give out them deets, man. They want to come to the Korea. Totally.
I imagine more or less like those 1 or 2 people that actually live in Korea and they're so lucky to get to go to StarCraft events all the time, but whatever. The next map is New Gettysburg. Let's get you in here. Please.
Donkey.
Home Show Cup is the 17th, Lel. That is actually very true, and it was unfortunate timing that could not be accommodated. So, the good news
also
is
a part of why you aren't seeing some of the players playing to compete, because they will be attending Home Show Cup instead of the Olimoleague.
And vice versa.
Yeah, and vice versa. Some people actually decline their Home Show Cup invites to play in the Olimoleague Year Finals.
Yep.
I was talking to a couple people, like Patience and some others, because, you know, we love Patience, and he was really sad he had to choose. Like, he wishes he could have done both type thing, and I think that's probably going to be the case for everybody, really.
I didn't realize Patience would have been invited to the Olimoleague.
Well, for him, it's like, you're going to Home Strike Up, why bother trying to compete? Why bother trying to play in the monthly finals to qualify?
To get money.
That's true. The money part of the Olimoleague gets pretty sweet. Let's not lie about that.
Yeah, like I get the whole like, well, I won't be able to go to the finals, so, like, no point in winning the monthly finals, but like even the weekly finals, 150, so it's around $130. That's pretty nice.
By the way, I asked him about this about 2 months ago, whenever we started hearing about the Homestar Cup rumors and murmurs before it got announced, and he seemed to know about it beforehand. I guess they had contacted him, so yeah. I was like, yeah, why aren't you playing in the Olimoleagues, bro? We miss you. And that was, well, pretty much why.
Yeah, oh well. Game number 2, in the bottom left, he is down 1. It is the blue Zerg, Lucero.
And of course, his opponent in the bottom right, going to be the red Terran player, GuMiho. Currently up with 1 game. Now, of course, with the monthly finals, it is worth noting that it's changed. The format's been tweaked a little bit throughout the year. This is a best of 3 for the round of 8. Both semifinals will still be best of 5s, but the grand finals is only a best of 5 now as well. Feels sad, man. But still a lot of good games to be had today. And the nice thing about a monthly finals is still a little more structured. It's a little more organized. We'll know who we're casting a little bit more easily.
Yep. That is true. We will have to, of course, wait on the Korean casters, as usual. Probably for at least 2 10-minute spans, but I don't know, I've gotten kind of used to accommodating, I guess. I don't mind it necessarily.
It's not even, like, I want to make sure everyone perfectly clear, I'm not taking shots fired at anyone other than the time itself. If it wasn't that it was like 3:30 a.m., I wouldn't mind 10-minute breaks. Like, oh, it's 11 a.m., kind of like we're doing the Corsair Cup, a 10-minute break would actually be pretty sweet. But anything beyond a couple minutes for me at this point is like you just start nodding off. Like I can't do something else to occupy my mind. We got to be ready to go as soon as they're ready to go. Like it's a weird little awkward limbo period.
Well, Lucero did something interesting. He went for a pull first. It went for a very quick third hatch. So he sends out the Lings, and this is just because New Gettysburg can be this neat little SCV kill. He got the SCV kill last game on Frozen Temple too, but I would say it's even more popular on New Gettysburg. Actually, I'd say they're both pretty popular. Those two maps are pretty popular for the early Ling run by, but of course Frozen Temple more because I feel they're already prepping against the 3-Rax Reaper. New Gettysburg just because you can go around the bridge. So GuMiho's already on the other side of the map and he realizes he has to turn around. It kind of sucks. So the SCV might not lose its life here, but there's nothing to take care of the Lings.
He actually pulls the SCVs into this. I mean, in one way, this isn't an overreaction. On the other, it's actually a totally appropriate reaction, depending on how he thought this was going to go. Playing it perhaps a little bit more scared of this than he should have. Still, would have been really annoying to have to stall that command surge 7 times and then rebuild it. And I understand why he did it, but it's not the most preferred move to do.
I think he really wanted to send the Lings out of his base, too, because unfortunately that Ling just got a full scout. So it was like a Widowmine drop is at least first forthcoming. It might be a Banshee after. Nope, you can't sit on my keyboard. That's rude. That's rude. But that's what the Overlord might be able to scout too. This is actually a pretty easy scout to get, even with a slow Overlord. Because New Gettysburg, it isn't that big of a base, not too far away from the edge, that is. The 3rd CC, if it's back here, is something that you might have trouble scouting, but he knows, of course, it's not a 3rd CC build. Okay, well, the cat doesn't care what I said, so whatever. As long as he's not over the pause button, am I right?
I guess?
Pause button. God. Reaper does a little bit of obnoxious damage, not too much to deal with. I mean, Lucero has just been droning, doesn't really want to make any more Lings, but now that speed is finished up, I guess making a couple. Widowmine drop is on the way. Again, Lucero knows this, but do you really need Ling to clean this up? Technically, yeah. Your queens can only do so much. They're going to save the medevac, but they still have to deal with the marines on the ground. And if you have all your queens in one position, they would be able to deal with it, but he's not quite up to that, like, super great queen count yet. And the medevac is just going to go away.
Well, for GuMiho, I mean, to be doing a drop like this, for Lucero's sake, this is either like really sweet confusion or just GuMiho playing back to normal after winning a game 1 with mech. Maybe feeling it's a little too gimmicky for a big map like this. But I think Lucero from this initial drop probably thinks, wow, combined with what he saw with the initial scout, nothing here really looks like it's going to be mech. And I don't think GuMiho's going to take a big left turn and throw us a giant curveball, but it would certainly be cool to see him do that.
Well, he's getting an armor right now.
Well, yeah, speak of the devil, and he swaps over the factory now, so maybe, just maybe it's Hellbats, and maybe, just maybe, it's a little bit deeper. It is worth noting, though, that with the Barracks Way and the Tech Lab, I'm expecting to see Stim. This could just be for, like, the initial push.
This is a very interesting push. The tank push with Hellbats included after a while. Feels like he wanted to do this on Scouted. Wait, where's the tank? Really? He's in the tank to deal with the Ling? Okay.
I mean, it gets the job done.
Okay, well, sure. Unfortunately, it's not going to go unscouted. I don't know if you realize that. It's a pretty common location for the Overlord, but the medevac didn't even see it, so... Lucero's gonna know the attack's coming from the north, and it is a tank push, but, you know, it's very odd, because it's without Stim. It's gonna be followed up with Hellbats. The Hellbat's gonna be the most curious thing about this. Losira can't just flood Lings into this. Not that you would really want to, even with unstimmed Marines, but if you have enough Lings, I suppose. This is really weird. And he's going into mech. Like, there's no stim on the way. How weird.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Well,
the wrong side of the Hellbats, unfortunately for the Lings. Just trying to shuffle them around, but those Queens did a great job pushing up that medevac. And that left GuMiho, not on purpose, but out of position.
Well, that all just kind of felt... I mean, all of it was questionable. The Queens were already in position. The creep was still kind of, you know, it wasn't receding as far back as GuMiho wanted. And there was already, like, a lot of Queens. Or, sorry, Lings, because Lucero anticipated the attack. It wasn't hidden. Because the timing and the composition should have been a surprise, but this Overlord saw everything. Oh, okay. Well, didn't want to go in Overseer. And now it sees a barracks floating, so now it didn't even have to scout the main to realize this is going to be mech.
I really wish there was a small period of time where some players like Marine Lord and a couple others were actually building barracks strictly for scouting. I kind of wish that was something that had caught on, because it would have made main games with mech a little bit more fun, but yeah, you're right. He's probably got a pretty good idea at this point what he's coming up against. Now, he has heavily loaded Queens in this game. I mean, we're not talking about 5 or 6. He's on 11, building a 12th one as we speak.
Yeah. And that worked out really well for the defense. Oh no, the drones. No!
Well, it should have worked out for this defense too. Didn't. Feels a bit bad, man.
14 drones go down. This tank.
That was something where that really could have and should have been no drones dead, given the amount of scouting and creep spread he has. That was a little bit awkward.
That was absolutely the case. But the good news is GuMiho's not going to be ready to push and take advantage of like having to remake those drones anytime soon. So it's kind of just like a blip in the road or whatever. Dip in the road, blip in the radar, whatever.
Wow, you nailed that.
Thank you. At least I remembered both the sayings.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that you mishmashed them. Gotcha!
So I really don't know, like, this game is probably going to go to something similar to last game. I mean, GuMiho was already up 1. He did win with a similar composition of mech. Oh, wait a minute. Might not be going for Cyclones, might be going for tanks. We'll see with the new factories. But anyways, he did win with mech last game. And Lucero, I would say, had a lot of opportunity to basically not let GuMiho win. There's a lot of mistakes that were just Lucero's own fault in that last game that I'm hoping he doesn't, you know, replicate here. Already with the drones going down is a problem that he definitely could have not allowed to happen. But he's going up to those Vipers super quickly, getting a Roach Hydra army. I mean, he's not getting maxed out very quickly, but he is probably going to get maxed out before GuMiho can push out. Liberators? What are you guys doing? Oh, they're trying to split. They failed. Oh my god, what are they doing?
The
what?
Air blocking is just, you guys can't see it. I'm doing that thing where you like, yeah, it's so beautiful, like with your finger and like, just, so good, so good.
So he like split the Liberators into 2 groups, I thought, but maybe that was just the air blocking on 2 of them and not the other 2. That was so weird. All of them are together now, though, I guess, and would definitely stop any Overlord trying to get some scouting, but that's a little scary to see him so far, you know, forward. I mean, that's like a big part of his army. Okay, now they're going with the rest of the army. I don't understand, but whatever. GuMiho's trying to lock down the Xel'Naga in the middle of the map, which is super dangerous. I'm actually really concerned, especially without his Liberators to help out the tanks. If Lucero realized what was happening and had a maxed out army, which he was close to getting, before the Liberators came over here, he probably could have just taken on every single tank. And then every single Liberator after that. But now, GuMiho's this looks solid now. Liberator zones, missile turrets coming down.
Wait. Why is he attacking his own Liberator?
I don't know, but it's happening, and Blue Flame Hellions unfortunately can't deal with roaches that well.
Hellbats actually can, though. That's the thing. Hellbats are better than roaches when it comes to damage. With this splash here and there, tanks on the high ground, cleans this up. Bomb is up north. Those Liberators are going to start getting abducted, and the tank fire may or may not be good enough to cover this. Of course, they are going to hit the Hydras from really far away, but those also might get abducted.
Come from behind. Come from behind.
They came from behind!
Unfortunately, there's still too many tanks, especially with just Hydras. And the tanks are pretty spread out too, so even if he had a couple of blinding clouds, probably wouldn't have worked out too well. I mean, I kind of like Losira's idea, hoping to get rid of the Liberators and maybe catch a lot of reinforcements, but it didn't really work out as perfectly as one would imagine. GuMiho is just starting to wreck the creep. He's advancing forward, feeling very bold. I say he still has to be very careful, especially now. Blinding Clouds could be very useful, but he's not going for them. Why did he go for them? No.
He actually doesn't have energy. That's the problem. Of course, it costs a little bit more than the 100 average, so those tanks could have and should have gotten wrecked, but they didn't.
That one Viper was so close to having 100 energy, but you're right, just like 10 energy short, and that's a big deal. Now GuMiho's gonna have time to spread them out, so a Blinding Cloud won't be as effective.
It's still a little bit awkward though, because for GuMiho it's got to be a slow push. You know, you can't just unsiege and move all the things forward. He doesn't have enough medevacs to pick them up and put them on the front lines. And this is where Blinding Clouds might start coming into effect. There we go, a couple on top of the tanks in the front line. This is where you wish you had medevacs to pick them out of that Blinding Cloud, plop them down elsewhere, but this doesn't go so well as Lucero does start cleaning this up. The problem is he can't fully commit off of creep. Realizing that all his creep has been knocked down and receding, Lucero decides to fall back.
I mean, it was starting to go better for Lucero, but I'd still say that GuMiho keeps his forward position, which is still very scary for Lucero. There's nothing he's really climbing up to. He's not able to have Broodlords to send this back. He will just have to deal with GuMiho kind of threatening his front line, his base down here at the very least. I mean, this base should be threatened too from a couple Hellions, but no drones wouldn't be the biggest deal if Lucero lost that. Here comes the rest of GuMiho's army. It was, I guess, just reinforcing back at home. He takes an island base. Hey!
Hype! I like this. It's only a problem with the Spire, which there's not. It's Roaches, Hydras, and Vipers. Talk more on that in a moment, though. I do want to point out GuMiho has invested, despite the Liberator count, all into ground upgrades this game round. So really looking for the power, a lot of the power in those tanks and those Hellbats. Taking the fight straight on the front lines, the Roaches will quickly dismantle, and the Abducts end up being way better due to how spread out the units were. This is a little bit tough for GuMiho, to be honest. It's a situation where he's not easily broken, but he doesn't have any pushing power. Oh, Queens, please. No, 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 no.
It's hard to say that GuMiho's okay with that, but I think for now, he might be okay with that. Not even, like, to his knowledge, because, again, there's nothing that Lucero is really, like, growing up to. That's not the right way to put it. But he's not going to Broodlords. I mean, Ultras would be questionable in the first place, but there's nothing that, like, it's going to be the same composition over and over again. And it's going to be about who starts taking better trades. Yeah. GuMiho's going to deny this base. He's taking out the Vipers almost every single time.
14 drones.
That the Vipers are taking out a couple of tanks, thanks to these 3 Vikings. I mean, maybe he wants to go up to 5 Vikings just to make sure that he sniped all the Vipers. But, you know, they're still on, like, nice income for both of them. GuMiho not on as many bases, but, like, safe bases, and will soon be able to transport his orbital commands. He's going up to more starports, going full-on air, man.
I like it. I like it, especially with the island base. Perhaps it's going to be a little bit more emphasized over the course of the game, but more on that afterwards. A Nidus Worm actually comes out of Lucero, and this could be how he uses his ground army. Unfortunately, he's beaten back once again, and GuMiho will hold his position here in the middle of the map. I also just thought of the sickest rhyme.
Okay, buddy.
Are you ready for this? This is going to have some Fifth Element in it. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to bust it the next time a big fight happens.
Okay.
Now, the Nidus Worm actually can obviously get to the island base, expand for Lucero, or attack GuMiho's. I don't believe GuMiho has had his base found out about that. Lucero's had nothing over that island. But what's kind of sad is GuMiho's also not using it at all. He made it into a planetary and hasn't transferred any SCVs over. There's been no mules dropped. The planetary goes unused for the time being.
Yeah, and Lucero does not know about that. But once he does, he can send the Nidus Worm over there. This does feel a little bit lonely.
It does. Well, he's going to start pushing it. This is going to slow leapfrog that you have to pull off because of the way the Vipers will constantly abduct you. If you just, or Blinding Cloud, you worse so if you're all clumped up and move forward. So spreading himself out, trying to avoid as much of this as possible. I really would like to see GuMiho invest in a couple more medevacs, though. Honestly, I think those would be the bigger counter to what's going on for this game. Not these weird Vikings that are not really killing anything.
I mean, as I said, they're sniping the Vipers, or they were. Now there's too few of them. Oh, okay, there we go. There's only one of them now. Either medevacs or like 5 Vikings, so you're sniping every single Viper that comes forward. Neither is on the list. Probably should have broken down these rocks too. I don't think they're really doing them any favors because Abducts are just wrecking whatever comes near them. But the Nidus Worm has been scouted, has been seen by GuMiho. I don't think there's much to
top. So he deals with the Nidus Worm. Top left though, does he see the fight? Maybe with some help, he just might. Aziz, lights!
That's pretty cool, I guess.
Actually, you know, I should have saved that, written it down, and used it for when we do co-op later with the vision reduction thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because, like, you know, they're gonna see the fight. Oh, the missile turrets.
Just pretend you never heard it before. I'll try and remember it for later. I probably won't,
Alright,
but okay.
alright.
I love the missile turret. Actually, the amount of them going down looks silly, but truthfully, it's the same as losing Hellions. You're building a turret instead of a Hellion. It's something you're gonna have a lot of minerals at this point in the game playing mech, a lot less gas. So these missile turrets are a lot more cost effective than trying to build Thors or trying to build Vikings, trying to build any sort of anti-air. I really like the laid out, just call it missile turret spam.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they've kept GuMiho in a forward position when really, I think ideally for a Zerg player, even a Zerg player that still has like a good number of bases and a maxed out army, they don't really want to have that pressure of the mech army right in their face. They'd rather be the ones set up on the high ground with their own army, with GuMiho trying to push into this. But GuMiho's had this location on lockdown for the past 7 minutes at least. Lucero is still trying to break them, but again, losing a couple of Vipers here and there. Anytime that he starts realizing he doesn't have any more Blinding Clouds or Parasitic Bombs or Abducts, he's got to retreat. But he is taking out the tanks one by one. GuMiho is having to, of course, replace them, but he's more focused on the Liberators now.
Nidus at the top, right, about to go off. No vision of his planetary will help a little bit, sure, but GuMiho is actually a little bit more invested in this base than even his island base. Liberator set up. The Nidus room doesn't have much coming out of it, to be honest. It's going to be a decent amount of Roaches and Hydras, but if he over-dedicates, he actually puts himself out of position, and I think it would be a little fearful that GuMiho pushes off of that, but planetaries on both sides of this going to make it a little bit hard to shut down. Oh, GuMiho stopped preparing! Why did he stop preparing? Oh, it might be too late. Pulse around for those Hydras, a little bit of extra damage coming in. Liberator's trying to set up, buy some more time with that planetary. It's not going to happen. He's got to back away from this. Base goes down. 11 SCVs to go with it too. Liberator's going to set up though, and going to make sure that Lucero pulls back fully and entirely from this attack.
No high sec auto tracking, no building armor. Maybe building armor. I'm just preparing.
Yeah, I don't know if high sec auto tracking is all that important, but building armor I would certainly say, because it's such a low damage army. Hydras and Roaches, this isn't like Ultras and Banelings busting into your planetary. Might be worth the investment a little bit later on. I do want to point out that GuMiho has started investing in, of course, the Liberator range, which you're focused on now, awesome, but also the armor upgrades, so all of his army can maybe take a bit of a better hit. It is worth noting, all of these abducts that have been going off and the shots in these tanks, they've not exactly been getting melted. These have actually been pretty tough to chew through without upgrades. With armor upgrades, that'll make it a little bit better.
Well, I'm really surprised that Lucero wasn't able to send something forward to clean up the middle of the map. There's only 3 tanks in the missile turrets, but he had dedicated to the Nidus Worm. And that's unfortunate, because GuMiho still has this location. I really would think that Lucero would have been able to break it by now. Finally going to be able to break it, as most of GuMiho's army is on siege attacking into that hatchery. Loses quite a few of the Liberators and tanks, but at the same time, the missile turrets end up taking out quite a few of those Vipers, so only 3 left over, and not with full energy. So the base goes down, and I mean, this is still, it still actually feels like GuMiho's game. I mean, you would usually say that the Zerg player is the one that's going to have, you know, they're going to keep on trading and that's fine for them, but the trades might actually be too severe. 5,000 difference here for Lucero. That's quite a big number for the resources lost. He's got Nidus Worms that aren't, I mean, killing a planetary is okay, but it's something that GuMiho could definitely replace.
Well, it's also that Lucero, well, he currently does have a decent-sized gas bank. That's not going to last him long with the way he's trading. These Liberators, of course, facing the wrong direction. Hello, boys, girls, turn around. There you go. Oh, big blue flame attack in the top while this goes on, too. So both players going to lose a certain amount back on their sides of the map, but again, I agree with you. I think GuMiho's in a bit of a better position for this. He's been playing down on upgrades. Those are finally catching up. He's been playing at a lesser bank. Okay, but now Lucero is also out of money, too. It's a situation where down to 44 drones and almost no bases mining. I think Lucero may have been better off nidusing to his own island base.
Right? The Vikings, oh, there's so many Vikings now. They're going to be able to snipe all these Vipers. I mean, sure, the Vikings are going down, but the Vipers are definitely more important as the game goes on, if it goes on.
What your bank has left. I agree.
Well, this is still kind of awkward. I mean, GuMiho doesn't really want to push forward too haphazardly. I mean, he realizes, like, okay, this could be the chance to really push forward half of his armies in my base, but you can't necessarily do that with mech. Yeah, this was Cyclone mech, maybe, but so tanks, it's going to be a nice position. Liberators also have the siege hop.
I love the unsieged tanks at this point too. You just push forward with them. They got a lot of damage. They attack really fast. Obviously, sieging up kills that base in a second. Looks like GuMiho's also going to lose a base while this goes on. With some SCVs to go with it, but he still sits on that island base. He had just scanned to confirm Lucero, in fact, did not have his own island base. So now he knows that there's no mining because there's no way the main national or third have money at this point. He's killed the 4th, the 5th, the 6th so many times, and with no island base, now GuMiho knows all he has to do is keep his siege tanks in siege mode, and he pretty much wins.
Yep, I think there's just too little army now for Losira to even take on the unsieged tanks. Provided the Liberators cover them.
I mean, the Liberators, of course, a whole other can of worms. GuMiho, I'm very confident if he knew just how little Hydras
oh,
there
no!
were.
Okay,
well,
well
they still got out on the other side of the map, but you're right, yeah. Loses the Nidus one, that kind of sucks. I was going to say, though, with how little Hydras there are in play, I don't think GuMiho realized that he could just move on top of the army. Left side, Liberators aren't firing, but if they were, every Hydralist melts, every Hydra dies. Vikings take out the Vipers, and that's, well, all she wrote, really. He's going to build some more, but look at the money income at this point, guys. Not the worker count, it's the income that matters.
Oh, yeah. GuMiho's been waiting for some time.
Yeah.
And Lucero still doesn't know about that island base. I feel like you may have suspicions.
You're kind of like at this point making guesswork, yeah. But he's also not seeing GuMiho exactly remax, so he may have his doubts.
Yeah. He knows there's at least one base mining, and it's still okay, healthy. He knows the orbital got away here, and there's probably still one in the main base, too. So, just if you take, you know, in consideration that your opponent's Terran, they're probably going to have better mining than you in a couple of seconds. Mules, am I right? GuMiho so very careful about his sea chopping, as he should be. There are a couple of Vipers still left over, and only one Viking to try and tear them down. The Vipers aren't too scared of Liberators, unless they're clumped up, but... Very careful, Lucero's last few units. I don't think he can do it, though.
No, it's looking a bit rough. GuMiho played this out really calm and collected towards the end of the game. There's a bit of panic early on, no doubt, but I don't think Lucero's composition was the right one. Roach Hydra was actually fantastic back in HOTS. Roach Hydra Viper just doesn't cut it. I mean, the one thing I would note right away is any amount of air tech would have really screwed up GuMiho.
I think a couple of... Well, yeah. I also think
like
a couple of...
Like, not even a lot. Just 2 Broodlords, and suddenly none of these siege tanks can stay sieged anymore.
A couple of better engagements could have gone down for sure, though, with the Vipers. I mean, I think that there are a couple of games where you see, like, mass Vipers totally wreck mech, and you're like, well, why does anyone ever do mech in the first place? But... GuMiho, like, at the time he was weak, it was at the missile turrets, and then when the missiles were up, the only time that Lucero was trying to push in, didn't work out. But at the time he could have gone to, like, yeah, he should have gone to Broodlords at some point. But even then, I worry that he would have gone too late, and GuMiho has 3 starports. It's not too difficult for him to try and get a lot of Vikings, and apparently Lucero doesn't like fungals, or festers, so you have to worry about that part of the whole air dynamic.
Yeah, that's another part of it that was maybe missing, but... regardless, congratulations to GuMiho. He now has a pretty tough opponent in Hero on that side of the semifinals. Below, we do have Creator waiting to play against the winner of Super versus Sue, which is playing out on the Korean stream. And remember, if you guys check out the Korean stream, twitch.tv/Olimoleague, that's actually being live. Well, everything we're doing live is obviously, but you can see the player cameras, you'll see some of the commentators, and I believe they do interviews. I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't actually watched.
I think just the winners. Just the grand final winners, that is.
Oh, okay. Either way, lots of cool bonus content over there. So even if you don't speak Korean, having their window open and kind of watching on the side is never a bad idea either. Is I believe both streams are using no delay today. Hype.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess it'll be our first commercial break of the day. And when we get back, hopefully everyone in the semifinals almost ready to go. There will likely, I really want to stress this to anyone who's unfamiliar with the format of the Olimoleague, and more importantly, the way it's been running with the Korean stream. They take a fair amount of breaks, so expect there to be some downtime between games. We will never stall for games, and we'll try and bring them to you as fast as we can, but there will be periods where 10 and 15 minutes of downtime we'll be waiting, sitting, twiddling our thumbs. So thank you very much for watching. One last thing before we go, because again, like I made that little joke with the rhyme earlier. This is our last cast before BlizzCon, and more importantly, our last Olimoleague before Korea. That being said, we're still going to be putting content on our YouTube over the week, and we've got some stuff set to schedule and release while we're gone. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube, guys. youtube.com/BaseTradeTV.
And youtube.com/ZombieGrub. Okay, we're going to go to a commercial break now, and hopefully be back with whatever semifinal is first. I'm guessing Hero versus GuMiho, but we'll see. See you in a few.